it makes an interesting sound. That's a good flop. Hello, beautiful bookish family. Welcome back to Coffee Over Apples. My name is Steph. This is my November TBR casino game, Bookish Blackjack.
It could change the world.
As we do every month, the game rules are fully explained in the description below, but very briefly, the rules of the game are that I am playing against the dealer in the game known as Blackjack, aka 21. I am trying to get as close to the number 21 without going over. Whoever goes over 21 first, either me or the dealer, bust and then lose that round. If I lose, I have to take a challenge from my challenge jar. I keep playing until I get 6 prompts. Jacks, queens, and kings count as 10. Ace counts as 1 or 11. So a jack plus an ace can equal 21. A 7 plus an ace can equal 8 or 18. Those are the rules. We've got a lot of books to get through this month. Let's get started.
Welcome back to the casino board. This month's casino candy chips are Starburst, doo-doo-doo. Yum, 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 yum. Yum, 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 yum. Round number 1. Oh, female author, yay! Oh, dealer has 10. I could use that fantasy card. Oh, poetry written in verse again? Let's see, I had that card earlier this year. Alright, I got 15. Something tells me the dealer might have 20. I don't know, it could be totally wrong. I'm gonna hit. Oh! 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 21! 21! I win! I have to win. Yes! Dealer has to tick until 17 and bust, which means I win, I win, I win, I win, I win.
For the card, poetry or written in verse. I've got an audiobook for this one. I'm going to go with The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo. This is one of the most hyped books that I've heard on BookTube. I believe I've heard so many people love it. I don't read poetry and books written in verse very often. I actually read my first book written in verse, I think, this year and absolutely loved it. So I'm hyped. I'm just going to read really briefly on my laptop as to what this book is about, because I really don't know much other than everyone says it's great and it's about a young girl growing up in New York, I think, but it says, a young girl in Harlem discovers slam poetry as a way to understand her mother's religion and her own relationship to the world. Xiomara Batista feels unheard and unable to hide in her Harlem neighborhood. Ever since her body grew into curves, she has learned to let her fists and her fierceness do the talking. But Xiomara has plenty she wants to say, and she pours all of her frustration and passion onto the pages of a leather notebook, reciting the words to herself like prayers. Especially after she catches feelings for a boy in her bio class named Aman, who her family can never know about. With Mommy's determination to force her daughter to obey the laws of the church, Xiomara understands that her thoughts are best kept to herself. Okay, I don't want to read anymore. Oh, my heartstrings. I'm fairly confident in saying that I think I'm really going to like this. For the card, female author. For this, I'm going to use the selection for the Enchanted book club, which is another monthly book club that I co-host. We are going to be reading The Wolf and the Woodsman by Ava Reed. I don't yet have a copy of this. I believe it's a new release that should have come out last month, so I'm waiting for my copy to come in, but I am going to read the synopsis off of Goodreads. I honestly don't know anything about it. I just know that our theme for the month of November was adventure, so this is the book that was chosen by the book club members. It says, in her forest-veiled pagan village, Evike is the only woman without power, making her an outcast clearly abandoned by the gods. The villagers blame her corrupt bloodline. Her father was a Yuheli man, one of the much-loathed servants of the fanatical king. When soldiers arrive from the Holy Order of Woodsmen to claim a pagan girl for the king's blood sacrifice, Evike is betrayed by her fellow villagers and surrendered. But when monsters attack the woodsmen and their captive en route, slaughtering everyone but Evike and the cold one-eyed captain, they have no choice but to rely on each other. Interesting. Ooh, this is a fantasy adult historical fiction retelling. Magic. Romance? Okay. I'm intrigued. I mean, I knew nothing about this book when it was suggested. If you know me, I don't really do too well with retellings, and magical books don't work well for me in audio, so I hope that this comes in soon so that I can get started on that, but it does sound interesting. Maybe it has something to do with the fact that most retellings that I've read were YA. Maybe trying an adult fantasy retelling might do better for me. I don't know. I really don't know. I find that this year I'm learning a lot about my own taste in books and what works for me and just what doesn't. So, interesting.
Round number 2. Oh, reread. I would like a reread, actually. Oh, dealer has a 2. That's looking good for me. And a 10, so that's 16. 16. If that's a 10, the dealer would have 12, and then in order to bust, they would need another 10. But at the same time, my chances of it making me bust, I would need a 5 or less. I'm just gonna try to see if the dealer is gonna hit. I'm not gonna take any cards. Dealer has 9. Oh, dealer has 15. They gotta keep going at least until 17, and dealer busts. Wow, that is how you play 21. That is how you play blackjack. Go me!
For the card, reread. I'm gonna cheat a little bit with this one, because this book has been sitting on my currently reading tab on Goodreads since December of 2020. A Feast for Crows? Okay, here's what happened. You ever do that thing where you get halfway through a book that you were really enjoying, but then something happens? Life, school, other books, and you just kind of put it down and then never pick it back up again, even though you liked it. That's me, and that's this. I got halfway of this chunker. What is this, like, oh, it's 1,000 pages. Is this wishful thinking? Quite possibly. I got halfway. I got about 500 pages in. I feel like that counts as a reread, right? If I read half of it and I'm gonna have to reread that half, those 500 pages, which qualifies in a book entirely in and of itself, in order to catch up to where I was, because I don't remember everything that happened 11 months ago. I remember bits and pieces. I remember the first line. Hoping to finish this because there should be no reason why I'm going into 2022 with a book still on my currently read shelf from 2020. That just can't happen. It can't happen. So some way, somehow, this is going to get read.
It's the last round. Let's go big. Oh, minority author. Okay, cool. Physical book. And, oh, translated from another language. I would love that if I could win this round. What do I do? I'm gonna, something tells me the next card might be high. Could be risky. It could be risky. This 14 is like the sweet spot where you never know if you should take or you should hit. It's so frustrating. Okay, I'm gonna see if the dealer's gonna hit. If the dealer's gonna bust. Bust, dealer, bust. Oh, dealer has 16. That means that they have to take a card. And they bust! Oh my gosh, yes. I love these cards.
For the card, minority author. I'm going to go with the November pick for the Interstellar Book Club, which is the sci-fi book club. We are reading Iron Widow by Ziran J. Zhao. This sounds really interesting. It's a YA science fiction with mecha. You guys, I love giant robots. I love giant monsters. Hello. Pacific Rim. Gundam. Evangelion. Giant monsters and giant robots is my brand. It's just, I don't really talk about it much, but if you know me, you know that Neon Genesis Evangelion is my favorite anime of all time. Hello! I can't go wrong with giant monsters or giant robots. So, I have high hope for this. This cover is stunning. What I do know about it is just that, again, there's giant robots, and it's a retelling of the first female emperor of China, I believe. Literally, I'm going into this so blind, but we can read a little bit of the synopsis together. So it says, in Huaxia, apologies if I'm not saying that correctly, the highest honor for a young girl is to be selected as a concubine pilot. Supporters pair it up with male pilots to power up chrysalises. So, dual piloting of giant robot? The giant transforming mechas that humanity relies on to battle the massive aliens that lurk beyond the Great Wall. But the honor often ends in death, and when 18-year-old Zetian's sister is killed by an ace male pilot, Zetian signs up to avenge her. The vengeance is a swift, brutal, and unexpected, leaving Zetian labeled as an Iron Widow, a much-feared kind of female pilot who can sacrifice boys to power up chrysalises instead of the other way around. Ooh, that sounds really good. Oh, I'm so excited for this. This sounds so fun. For the card, takes place in the US. I'm gonna go with a book that's been on my shelves for a while, and that keeps coming up in so many readings that I'm doing for school, and that's The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. I know that this was written in the 1970s, and I am going to invoke my double up rule. So if I get 7 or more cards, I usually allow myself to double up some cards because I'm putting myself way over my reasonable amount of books that I read every month. I'm going to double this up with the prompt for published 1900 to 1999 because this book takes place in Ohio, written in 1970s. I'm not sure if the story takes place in 1970s, but I know that this was written in the 1970s, and from what I understand, it is a very prominent story about a young African-American girl who wishes that she had lighter skin and blue eyes. I'm expecting this to be very hard-hitting. It's been coming up a lot in readings that I've been doing for college in regards to race and understanding the arts as activism. So I'm really intrigued because it would be great if I had more background context as to what all of the articles and things that I'm reading are referencing. So this is the referenced material. I'm expecting to possibly cry. I don't know, but it's actually not that big. It's only, what is this, 200 pages? I could probably knock this out in a weekend, maybe. If this is one of your favorite books, I know that this is considered a classic at this point. If you love this book, please let me know. Let me know how much to emotionally prepare myself for, please and thank you. For the card, translated from another language, I'm going to use this to continue Blue Period. I started Blue Period in October as part of the Host Club Manga Book Club that I run. I currently do not yet have confirmation as to what the November picks are, but once I get those, I will put them in the description box below. But I was really hooked into Blue Period. It's just so sweet. So I want to read volumes 4 and 5 because I read volumes 1, 2, 3 in October and I loved it, and I'm biased and I love anything that has great art appreciation. Seeing these characters thrive, finding their love for art as a high school student who was kind of a delinquent and kind of a jerk, but realizing that they've made mistakes, and seeing these other side characters that are going through some serious life struggles in understanding how to proceed after coming to terms with who they are and interactions socially and romantically. Parent dynamics with parents who just want more for their kids but think that they might be choosing a career path for college that won't set them up properly for the future, but kids finding out that there's other ways of like following their dreams, and I just it's so good. I love it. The wholesomeness. This is the wholesomeness that I need at the end of the year. It's cozy. It's perfect. Additionally, in the month of November, because we are reading the Stormlight Archive. Oh my god, this brick. This is Oathbringer by Brandon Sanderson. If you didn't know, the COSMERE CRABALONG year-long read-along is coming to a close in December, so we only have 2 books left, which is this. It's like as thick as my head. This is the 3rd book in the Stormlight Archive. So, I can't really tell you what it's about without it being spoilery. I'm gonna just say battles, magic, apocalypse, crabs. That's all you need to know. It is a great time. I gave the first book 5 stars. I'm currently still reading the 2nd book, but I have a great time. So far, Brandon Sanderson hasn't really let me down. And if you couldn't tell, he just doesn't know when to stop writing because holy cow, look at this. It's beautiful. It's stunning. It'll look great on my shelves next to that. But geez, it is huge. Look at that flop. It makes an interesting sound. That's a good flop. Whew. Wish me luck. So we've got these chunkers. We've got 2 over 1,000-page books. One that's less, like 200 pages less. One that's middle, maybe like 350, I'm guessing. Plus audiobooks, plus manga, that's digital. Or I'm gonna get it from my library if they have it. Oh, look at this color scheme. That is so nice. I love it, and it matches me. We're so November. I love that for me. If you're interested in joining any of the book clubs that I run, the links to all of them with the Discords and Twitters and all the other co-hosts will be in the description box below, along with affiliate links and other fun things. I post videos every week. Catch you next time. Bye!
What's it making, Mr. Wonka? Mr. Wonka worked the factory.
In your wildest dream.